Van's loaded, back from work, and we're heading off for an overnighter. So the venue we're going to is very silty, so perfect really for looking at all things silt. So to do that, we're going to be looking at, well, what it is for a start, why the carp like it, the hook bait options you can have, your free offerings, how to pimp them, how to tell the difference between types of silt, and a few other tips and tricks. So as I say, the van's loaded, we're going to head off now. So looking at why carp love silt, I think they love silt just because of the abundance of natural food that it can hold. It's a free meal, they're going to go there, they're going to know where this free food is. So if you can present a rig where they're going to be feeding, you've got such a better chance of catching them. They're going to feed in a way which I think lends itself to a wafter or bottom bait type presentation really, because their heads are going to get right in that silt. They'll be like almost gilt deep in the silt at times, digging for this natural food. In them cleaner sort of zones where you get a bit of a better drop, it doesn't feel quite as dirty and smelly. That's the places where you want to be fishing if you can. So to tell how you want to be fishing in them areas, you obviously do that with a lead. Have a lead about, feel the lead down on a tight line. If you feel a slight drop and then you pull back smooth, chances are that's a clean silty area. Get the lead back in, have a smell. If it doesn't smell too bad, and obviously there's no clay, weed, anything like that on the lead, then I'd say you found that silty area. However, if you do have a lead about and you're getting plugged right in the bottom, like loads, and you're sort of having to almost pull the rod to full test curve to unplug it, that's quite a deep area of silt, and that's not always a bad thing. If it doesn't smell too bad, have that horrible like decaying like leaf sort of smell, then I would still fish that. Now silt's made up of different bottom that gets transferred through the water and creates a sediment on the bottom. It is generally soft, but obviously looking for them firmer areas, they generally are less stinky and choddy. So when you get real soft choddy silt, that's just a build up where you've got like decaying leaf matter and stuff, and that smell generally I found isn't ideal for catching carp. However, that doesn't mean that you won't. You have to fish for the fish where they are. That's just the way it is. If it is in that softer area, that's where a helicopter rig will come into its own. Had quite a few liners throughout the evening, and we finally got one converted a chance, and this one's £18 common. Have a look through the tactics and stuff in the morning, see how we got about it and caught it. Right, when fishing in silt, obviously you need to look for a firmer area of silt. This is a helicopter rig. I think it gives you the optimum presentation, and I've gone for a 2-ounce flat pair lead just because that will not sink into the silt quite as much. And I've pushed the bead up roughly 6 to 8 inches just to give myself a bit of scope on it sinking in. I have had the lead around, and where I'm fishing on all my rods is firmer areas, not in any of the real silty smelly stuff, so that's going to give me plenty of scope to present my rig. Looking at this rig, I've just got a wafter here. Now I'm on a firm area of silt, and I think wafters are the ideal presentation. This rig is just about 6.5 inches long, and all it is really simple. So if I just pop this liner up, all I've got there is an overhand loop, sort of type multi-rig style. I've threaded that on, put a ring swivel on it, and then I'm mounting my hook bait to that using bait floss and the blob method. Really, really simple. So all I do then is slide the liner down, That's quite a tight fit, that is. So what I do is I hold the top of the line liner, I'll just pull that so that the hair as such, it would be in line with where the barb is. That then is your finished rig, and you've got the anti-tangle sleeve to slide over, quick change swivel. So you can see now that is how the rig will sit. It's important that top bead is able to pop off nice and easy as well, just for safety aspect. That can then slide up and off the end of the rig, and your hook length can rotate fully around. What will happen is when you cast in, that will slide up, that will plummet into the silt, so that can go down, say, through there into the silt, and your hook bait could be presented nicely over the top. Just had this £19 mirror, same tactics as before, proofs in the pudding. It has become fruitful. We're going to get this one back and treated, and that actually goes. If you are an avid leg clip user, say, or you prefer an inline, a lot of sort of common mistakes I think are people using real short stiff rigs with it. I don't think that really helps you at all, because you just got to think that lead's going to plummet in, especially in that sort of softer zone. That lead will drop in, then you're going to have a real short stiff hook link just sticking up out the silt. It's just not going to be sitting right, it'll just be sticking up. And whereas with a helicopter, if you can move that bead up, that rig can then hit the top bead, that leg can go in and it can all lay down. If you do want to use a leg clip, just use a longer, more supple hook link, just a braided hook link really, just so it can, if it does get dragged in a bit, the rest can sit down nicely over the top. That would be my little tip for that. Once you sort of found your zone really, whether you're fishing that slightly firmer, cleaner area or that softer area, that's going to dictate to you what sort of hook bait option you might want to go with. If I was fishing that slightly firmer, cleaner zone, I'd definitely personally fish a wafter. Obviously on a helicopter rig, if you are in a softer zone, you can just push that top bead up that little bit further, give yourself a bit more scope, and I'd opt probably to use a little PVA nugget as well. It's a little sort of tip I've had for a little while that I've been using, and I think it's really helped. So that's just going to let the lead plummet in, your rig's going to fly up to the top bead, and then your PVA is obviously going to hold that rig up, and then it will melt away and your rig will just flutter down nicely. Obviously when you're using the wafters, I think they need to be pretty balanced. Like, I wouldn't want them sinking too fast. Get that hook link to just kick away and sit down nicely. If you have a little lead about where you sim fish and it is more choddy, smelly stuff, that's where I probably wouldn't opt to fish a wafter. I'd look at using a pop-up just to get away from that, just because if the hook gets snarled up on any of that, you know, your rig's not effective. I think to get your hook off the bottom as well and keep the bait out of that smelly stuff, I think that will really help. It's also very, very important, I think, to add liquids and to make the baits fully hydrated. Some people call it pimping your bait, but that will just help them not take on the smell of the bottom if there is any. They might do after a long period of time, but it'll just prevent that from happening quite as quickly and making them more effective. Right, we're at the end of an eventful session. It's been really successful. We've had 2 bites, a nice mirror and a nice common, both being upper doubles, just fishing for a bite at a time, and it's really proved fruitful. Got the bites that we wanted, and yeah, we go home happy. So barrel's loaded, time to get the net and the sling back, and off we go home.